PCN is brought to you in part by the following underwriters.
Welcome to another edition of PACTV Community News. Tonight we are introducing a new anchor team member, Brian Sullivan. Welcome, Brian.
Thanks, Kim. It's nice to be on this side of the camera, and I'm looking forward to being part of the team.
We're happy to have you. This week we bring you information to help you navigate those nasty spring potholes.
We have an update on the Duxbury School construction project, and we'll hear about the rising sea levels from the Jones River Landing Association.
We meet a New England Music Award nominee and learn about what goes into Irish step dancing.
Design Corner brings us some tips for spring, and Town Talk is from Plymouth.
Our first story tonight is about a local musician. A local singer-songwriter from Plymouth was recently nominated for Best New Artist at the New England Music Awards. PACTV Community News caught up with her at a recent show in downtown Plymouth to learn more about this local celebrity and her new CD coming out in April.
So I actually had a conundrum about this recently, trying to figure out what kind of music I play, because usually it's just me and my guitar. And so people would usually label that as acoustic, folk, or like singer-songwriter. But I'm releasing a record in April, and that's fully produced. It has drums and bass and all different kinds of instruments. So it's kind of crossing genres a little bit, and I'm not sure exactly what to call it, but just have to give it a listen and decide what it is for yourself, I guess. It's my first full-length record. I released an EP December of 2012. It was a 4-song EP, and they're all gone. I don't have any left, so that's good. And I'm a farmer, and I farm in Manomet. And so I obviously am not working at the moment. The ground is frozen. Actually, we've had a couple of shows at the farm, which has been really fun. Or I'll farm occasionally at Soul Homestead in Middleborough. We did like a little promotional video of like Haley Sibylla in her natural habitat, and I was farming, and there was a guitar on my back. It was fun. So it's exciting because they were on my record. All three of these gentlemen came up when I was making the record. It was up in Maine. And they all came up and added their parts. And they're super creative musicians. They actually write their own songs and stuff like that. Exciting. I was nominated Act of the Year by the New England Music Awards, which was a big awards ceremony up in Lowell, and I got to perform there, which was really cool. I think like about 1,000 people were there, and it was at the Lowell Auditorium, which is this ancient venue that was just amazing. But even though I didn't win, I was still really jazzed about being able to perform for that many people, and I've made a lot of connections through it. Met radio show hosts and magazine editors and things like that. Making the record was a lot of fun. I'm super excited about it. It's called King Solomon. I'm just getting some of the tracks out now. I actually just released one of the tracks. It's online. It's at noisetrade.com if anybody is interested in downloading that. There'll be a couple more on later on this week, a couple more songs that I'm releasing from the record. The official date for when the CDs will be for sale is April 18th, and that will be at the CD release show at the Spire, which is a new performing arts center that's coming in Plymouth. And I'm super excited about that. So I really enjoy sharing my music with people. I love going to shows, I love watching other performers, and I think it's a really powerful way to communicate ideas and thoughts and feelings and all that. And I have some things that I'd like to share, some things I'd like to say, and I think music is my best way of being able to share those things.
The new middle and high school in Duxbury is looking more and more like a school every day. PCN visited the site and found that finished work on the top floor is nearly done, while the hundreds of construction workers are pouring cement, laying the floor in the lobby, and building the library, gym, and cafeteria. The architect in charge of the school is Dennis Daly, a Duxbury resident. He's taking special pride in the $130 million project.
It's very important to me to be able to design a school in my hometown. It means an awful lot. It's something every architect really dreams about. And Duxbury is a very special place, and I try to evoke some of those things that are special about Duxbury. As we designed, we realized that we were creating a concourse that separated the community part of the school from the learning part of the school, the academic part of the school, and that concourse ran parallel to Duxbury Beach. I thought about it a lot, and what could we do to make this special to Duxbury? And we've designed a floor that I think people will be excited about when they finally see it. But it's a floor that's representative of Duxbury Beach, with the bay on one side, the ocean on the other. The bay side is the side that all the community spaces are on. And the bay is something that represents safe harbor, it represents our traditions, it represents those things that, that make us who we are in Duxbury, and the things we feel safe and comfortable with. The ocean side, where the academic spaces are, represents, to me, adventure, the unknown, excitement, exploration, and I think that's a perfect metaphor for, the academic spaces in the school. Well, we come on I'm here on a more than weekly basis. I'm here a few days a week. We answer the contractors' questions. We pick up on anything that might be unclear, or answer for the contractor exactly how we might want to execute something. You can imagine in a building this large that there's a lot of little details, and having us around is very helpful to the contractor. We're very fortunate to have an excellent contractor on this job and owner's project manager, and working with them and the committed, wonderful school building committee we have of great Duxbury citizens. This is really a team effort, and it's a great team. It's one of the best teams I've ever worked on, so that's another thing I'm especially proud of.
The Jones River Watershed Association hosts lectures throughout the winter with topics like sea level rise, climate change, and storm preparedness. PCN went to a recent talk and learned about coastal erosion and what can be done to slow this erosion at our coastlines.
So when you have coastal banks or bluffs, those are deposits from the glaciers when they were here over 18,000 years ago. As sea level rose after the glaciers retreated, the glacial deposits eroded and the sediment moved along shore to form our beaches and dunes. You know that the waves are getting up there. You need something to hold that toe so that you can get the upper part vegetated. These coir rolls are, if you use the ones that are natural, biodegradable, without the synthetic mesh, these don't reflect wave energy the way a structure does. These can be used at the toe of a bank, and then you can vegetate up above. This is a site that they were not allowed to put in a structure. They couldn't by regulation. They had an erosion rate over a foot a year. They put these in, and 10 years later, it's still stable. And it has since survived Sandy and last winter. In the case of this lower right picture is actually from the Cape, where it's called sturdy drift fence, and they have large wooden posts, and each of those slats are nailed on. And they're having trouble with these because they are getting taken out in storms, and they're having nails all over the beach and a lot more wooden splinters everywhere instead of the smaller wooden slat fence. So we talk about some of the different kinds. There's also plastic fencing out there. We don't recommend that either.
You need to work with the natural processes to enhance them because the beaches and dunes and banks have a natural ability to provide storm damage protection and flood control interests. So there are techniques that we can use to enhance their natural ability to provide us with protection instead of putting a structure in place that reflects the energy. Try to put something in place that dissipates more wave energy.
They thought they were landscaping nicely, but it has exacerbated their erosion. So by having more water in the soil, it's easier to erode. And so all the contributions from rain as well as the irrigation system are making that situation worse. So this lower right picture, they had the whole yard slope toward the top of the bank. And they're actually in a relatively sheltered bay, but they had this huge erosion issue, and their whole bank was a mess. It was not, they couldn't vegetate it. The engineer that came in and worked on it regraded the top yard away from the top of the bluff. They put in shrubs as a vegetated buffer there, and then they were able to reestablish a stable slope. They used the coir rolls at the toe of the bank, natural fiber blankets on the face, and then revegetated the whole face.
So they need to look at having the runoff slope away from the coast and having more of a natural vegetated buffer with salt-tolerant erosion control species that have a better root structure, and that's much more effective as a buffer to help with preventing erosion. We have a whole website that describes coastal landscaping for private property owners.
Have you had your fill of potholes? As we near the first day of spring, we can't help but still suffer the pains of this past winter. With record-long cold snaps, we've seen our share of the winter's damaging effects. In particular, potholes have been some of the worst we've seen in recent years. Scott Manning, the highway foreman with the Pembroke Department of Public Works, is all too familiar with the constant battle of potholes that plague the roadway of the South Shore.
Well, this year was a particularly colder year than most of we've had in some of the past years. We've had rain and snow, and the frost has gone in deep this year. When the frost moves the water in between the layers. If it gets between the layers of the asphalt, when that happens, you get cracks.
The Pembroke DPW last year purchased a hot box, a self-heating vessel to carry up to 3 tons of road repair material to the tune of $25,000, thus allowing the town not to waste any of the purchased hot patch mix. Despite the challenges of keeping up with the potholes in the town of Pembroke, the DPW assures they are not the only community dealing with pothole troubles.
It's all the same in the other communities. Like I said earlier, I talked to all my cohorts in the other towns, and they're all the same. We go to meetings once a month with them, and we talk, amongst ourselves, and they're all the same. Some towns are better because, like I said earlier, that Hanover, they get $10 million to do their roads, and that they should be better. If I had $10 million to do here, then ours would be a lot better. But they're all the same, whether you go to Brockton, whether you go to Plymouth, or you go to Norwell, they're all the same. There's really no difference right now.
By the spring, the town hopes to repair portions of the badly damaged roads by grinding down and mix patching larger segments of roads if granted the proper funding. Most funding for municipal road repairs comes from Chapter 90 monies allotted by the state budget every year. The state works closely with local and municipal leaders to assess damages and effects of potholes and other road repairs and maintenance. You can report potholes to your local DPW or call the Mass Department of Transportation at 857-368-4636. And as repairs continue, Public Works departments ask for your patience in finishing the job. You can stay up to date with current road repairs in Pembroke on the town's official website, townofpembrokemass.org.
Yeah, I like to put it, just to give us time to do what we have to do, and we understand that, there's potholes everywhere. We can't get, to everywhere that fast. We're trying to do the best we can. We concentrate on our main roads first to get them, because that's where the most traveled is, and that's where the most cars are.
To get you into the St. Patrick's Day spirit, we bring you a story about Irish step dancing. The Haley School of Irish Dance holds classes at the Tarkland Center in Duxbury for all ages and levels. The training is hard work, with a large demand for performances around the holiday. Between the dancing, the hairdos, and the costumes, this form of dance is sure to put you in the St. Patrick's Day spirit.
I actually started dancing at the age of 5 in Galway City, Ireland, where I grew up. And I danced my whole life. It was very important to me. I would say maybe 25 to 30 years ago. I started in the town of Duxbury. I started actually in Kingston and then moved over to Duxbury. And I have been in this area all that time. The beginnings of Irish step dancing. There's lots of different stories. The one that I would prefer to think the way it happened. Well, Irish dancing is part of our heritage, but I believe that in the 18th century, it was quite common, and I've read something where it started way back, even before then, but it was quite common in the 18th century to have what was called a dance master, who would tour Ireland, going from city to city, town to town. And during the harvest time, which is when they gathered all of the rice and corn and everything else, with potatoes and cabbage probably in Ireland, they would call the dance master, who was very flamboyant. And he would wear very bright colored clothes, and he would carry a cane, and he would wear a top hat. And he would be brought in by the most affluent farmer to teach his children. And then eventually he would teach all of the children of the rest of the peasants of the area. And it was very, very common. And if you were influential, if you were the richest farmer, you would be the one that would hire him. And after he would spend a week with you in teaching those children, he would then move on to the next small town or village, and he would be hired by somebody else to teach their children and those local children. And that's the story that we believe. That's how it happened. The ages of the children would go from age 4, and the oldest girl in my class is, I would say, 25. Boys do take Irish dance lessons, and the boys do very, very well at the Irish dancing. The girls have a different attitude about the Irish dancing. I think boys like Irish dancing because very often it relates to sports. I think it's very good for boys because it helps them with their sports. They can run faster, they can move faster, they can move backwards and forwards. And I think for boys that's an excellent thing, and they like it. I have probably about 5 or 6 boys in my class. They are not always, my boys are not always as competitive as the girls. So we're a very competitive Irish dancing school. And that means we do competitions, quite a few of them. For St. Patrick's Day, we are starting out this Saturday, and we are dancing 3 and 4 shows a day. Not during the week, where the kids have school, but weekends we are going nonstop up until the 17th.
Later this month, the Plymouth Rotary Club will be holding its 19th annual auction here at the PACTV studios. All proceeds raised at the auction are donated to local charities, service organizations, and scholarships. Don't miss your chance to bid on tickets to sporting events, gift certificates, furniture, jewelry, and much more. The auction will be live on PACTV's Comcast Channel 13 and Verizon Channel 43 from Friday, March 21st through Sunday, March 23rd. For the complete auction schedule and list of items to be auctioned, visit PlymouthRotaryAuction.com.
Our Design Corner segment brings us back to setting the space in Plymouth to get some spring inspiration.
Welcome to PCN's Design Corner. I'm Blair Hamity from Setting the Space at Main Street in Plymouth. And I want to talk today about, getting out of the winter blues and what we can do for spring. Believe it or not, it's freezing out right now, but you know what? It's going to be spring and we all need something uplifting. One of the things that you can do is choose a room. It can be your living room, it can be your bedroom, it could be your kitchen, anything. And think about time to paint it. Now, for many of you, there is something new on the market, which is the new white is now linen beige. It's very, very soothing, and it gives you a little bit of color without being afraid of color. And one of the things that I tell my clients to do is to go out and choose a pillow. A pillow is the easiest thing. Today's color with Pantone is purple. So the color of the year is purple. So if you go into any store and you start to find these really cool pillows, whether it is purple, whether it's orange, whether it's green, such as the chair that I'm sitting into it, this helps you add some color to the house without getting afraid of it. And it's real easy because you could change it from the spring to the summer to the winter to the fall. Another way that you can do stuff is to bring the outdoors in. Bring a splash of color in tulips. There's beautiful orange tulips, and this is just enough to uplift your feeling and make you feel wonderful in your home. Very easy to do, very uplifting, and it'll be a lot of fun, and you know what? You're going to feel much, much better.
Town Talk this week is from Plymouth's town manager, Melissa Arrighi.
Hello there, I'm Melissa Arrighi, Plymouth Town Manager, and I want to talk to the residents today about potholes. We've received a lot of calls from many of you who are frustrated with the conditions of the road, and certainly we can understand that. We know that that's not just here in Plymouth, but that's where it matters to you. So we're encouraging people to call and report those potholes to the Highway Department at 508-830-4162, extension 101. Now currently we have about 3 crews working on potholes. There's over 300 miles of road that we have to take care of with the potholes. So we have 3 crews doing that, weather permitting. Now, when I just spoke to Dennis Westgate, the Assistant DPW Director, he informed me that a lot of these storms have prohibited that work because they've been predominantly working on dealing with over 2 storms a week in 2014. So if you could have some patience, we would appreciate it, but we will put the same amount of crews on that. With the weather getting a little bit warmer, we see some of the plants, asphalt plants, opening back up. So we'll be able to get better material than this cold patch we're using right now and be able to get out there and do appropriate repairs. So let us know where you're having those problems and where you're seeing those potholes, and we will send people out as quickly as we can. And we do anticipate working on that, not exclusively, because certainly the Public Works Department has other duties, but we'll have crews working on that every day, 7 to 3:30, Monday through Friday, starting in the next week or 2, so you'll be able to see them out there. And any time you have a specific problem or you're not seeing the results that you need, please feel free to contact this office, the Town Manager's office, at 508-747-1620, extension 100. Thank you.
Thanks for watching this week's edition of PACTV Community News. Replay times are listed on our website, pactv.org. Click on the PCN tab to watch individual stories or the entire program.
You can see us on YouTube by searching for the PACTV Community News channel, and be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter to receive previews each week, plus links to all of our stories.
Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next week on PACTV Community News.